I was just playing around. Sorry. Just
No,
seeing which of those video clips.
those overlays look nice. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm about to walk out on stage on American Idol.
There you go. All right. And hold on. Let's do it one more time. All right. There he is. And the next contestant is Josh Peterson.
Thank you, Luke Bryan. This means so much to me. I want to thank my parents for this opportunity.
There you go. There you go. America's Got Talent indeed. All right. Let's get this thing started. Let's see. On this week's episode, did Amazon get a return on its investment with the Tomorrow War? Resident Evil creates an infinite darkness, and Star Wars has a new vision in store for fans. All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. The pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, popculturecosmos.com, Humanica Media, and everything else that we do right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a July 4th weekend Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He's our own Joshy Josh. Dun-dun, 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 of Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to catch him today at popculturecosmos.com. His great show, the Super BS Games Cast, plus his classic Topicocalypse. And also, remember, as a great July 4th gift, you can go ahead and get his book today, Congratulations, You Suck, on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And Barnes & Noble, it is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. Happy birthday to you, my friend. I hope you had an incredible one. And always the best wishes to you this July 4th weekend.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. We got some really gloomy weather out here in Texas, where it's supposed to have a nice break in the rain so we can shoot some fireworks off. But yeah, been pretty stormy here this week, man. Not your ideal barbecuing weekend, if you know what I mean.
Between you and Marcus, don't ever rub in the fact that you guys get so much rain, because we in Vegas, we would love rain. For like a week straight, we could use it.
I was actually going to bottle some and send it out to you, but you can't ship liquids apparently. So
no, they always say that right when you go up to the post office. One of the many things that you cannot ship via the post office.
I just want to ship some rain to Nevada. Is that what's going on here?
They'd go, put it in dry ice and send it somewhere else. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be a great show we've got here today. We've got a lot of things to discuss with the birthday guy indeed. Of course, we're talking about the weekend box office. We're going to talk Netflix's Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. Netflix has been hot lately. I know we had a discussion a couple weeks back about what's coming up for Netflix fans and kind of concerned about the future, but had a lot of stuff. So we'll be talking about some good things, including, like I said, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. Dynasty Warriors, though, has been a little bit of an issue. We'll talk about that movie on Netflix as well. Star Wars Visions is something that they laid out plans for during the weekend, so kind of snuck under the radar this holiday weekend. So we'll talk about Star Wars Visions and this new frontier for the Star Wars universe. We'll talk about that coming up in the show as well. Plus, we're going to be talking about the Tomorrow War, like I said, and so much more, plus the weekend box office and a whole lot more. But I'll tell you what, first off, my friend, thanks again for being here. I know there's a lot of good stuff indeed, but I want to go ahead and comment on something, speaking of Netflix, that our good friend, Mr. Castle PCC on the Twitter and Instagram, Mr. Marcus de la Garza said on his Twitter rantings, and I just wanted to go ahead and check this out because he was amazed at how I watched the two of the latest offerings from producers Lord and Miller, and he was amazed that I watched them both back to back. That is The Mitchells versus the Machines and America the Motion Picture. So I want to quote him right now for you, Josh.
Okay.
I really don't understand how Gerald at Pop Culture Cosmo on Twitter was able to do the Mitchells versus the Machines back to back with America the Motion Picture. That's a wild pairing, and even wilder now that I'm 20 minutes into this movie, America the Motion Picture. So
Was it bad? Netflix dropped all this stuff this week. I haven't had a chance to watch. Was it?
I kind of enjoyed it. It's a guilty pleasure. It's the Mitchells versus the Machines has been out for a couple months now.
I saw that one. That was okay.
I actually liked it a lot more than you did. I think right now for me it's the best picture of 2021. I really truly enjoyed it. As far as America the Motion Picture is a guilty pleasure. It's a lot of hit and miss, way over the top, a lot of stuff going on. It's not believable in the slightest. Okay, to get everybody, it's not a actual retelling of American history. It's an actual retelling of American history by the people who make Archer. So that tells you right there exactly.
I was gonna say the animation looks like Venture Brothers is what it reminded me of.
Yeah, and it's a lot of that mixed in, a lot of references to pop culture, a lot of movies. Lord Miller, I'm sure in this movie, like they did, as well as I mentioned on the Friday show, they get their Star Wars digs in there. They really actually get a lot of Star Wars digs in there.
Well, they're pretty bitter, I'm sure, still over that whole thing.
And that I mentioned also as well on the Friday show because of their past with the Star Wars universe. But yes, they get a little bit of shot in with the Mitchells versus Machine, but they really go overboard with America the Motion Picture. But again, they're as producers, they are very prolific. I heard the movie is done pretty good. Obviously, the Mitchells versus Machines has really garnered a lot of acclaim, and they've done really well since then. But I'll tell you what, it's just been so great to see Marcus's response back, I guess, in regards to me watching it back to back. Have you been catching anything this weekend at all, or you've been just too busy?
We've been kind of busy. There's all this stuff, Dynasty Warriors. I still need to finish the last Rurouni Kenshin. I want to watch Tomorrow War. So many things that I have to catch up on this week. But yeah, I haven't had a chance. I've been trying to read up on a lot of this stuff without really spoiling it for myself. But tell me. I mean, I'm probably not going to get around to watching America's. The one. What was it? America.
The Motion Picture.
The Motion Picture is not.
Yes.
Something I'm gonna rush out to watch. So what were your thoughts? Was it everything you thought it would be and more? I know you're really excited about it.
It's, again, to me, it was way over the top. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller produced the movie, and I think, again, you have to let your imagination run wild, but it is fun. It is very lighthearted with some underlying tones that they wanted to go ahead and send out some messages, and a lot of them, those messages really stuck. And I just think overall, you got to take it with a grain of salt. And again, some of the over-the-top stuff was a big hit. And some of the over-top stuff was a big miss. So again, a movie like that, just throwing darts. It's throwing darts that you continuously did to go ahead and, make sure some of it hits, some of it misses. But overall, it was an enjoyable movie.
So was it, is it meant to be funny, or is it meant to make a
it's meant to be funny.
Is it meant to make a political statement, or is it just for your enjoyment?
It's mostly meant to amuse you and make you laugh. And again, throughout the film, there's stuff that they throw out you constantly every 2 minutes, every 90 seconds. They're throwing out a new joke here, new joke there, new joke here, new joke there. It does send a message throughout in regards to that type of thing with America the Motion Picture and the growth of America. For the most part, it's just trying to be an off-the-wall, zany comedy throughout with a whole bunch of unbelievable spectacle. But again, I found it enjoyable. I mean, I gave the movie a thumbs up. I'd give it about a 6 or a 7. It's nothing that it's going to write home about. It's certainly not in the class of the Mitchells versus the Machines for me. Yeah. But again, it's still an enjoyable flick to watch.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I saw some news headlines about it. I haven't clicked on them, but then I remembered, you were going to watch it, so I figured I might as well get it from a source I trust, as opposed to the old New York Times or the CNNs.
Well, again, it's just something out there that if you want to go ahead and catch it, it's a nice little flick. It's a popcorn type flick, but it's something that I found substantially better than another movie we'll be talking about here on the show. But that's coming up here in a few minutes. But yes, it's an okay movie. I thought it was again the jokes are hit and miss, and again you got to roll with the punches with it, but it tries very hard to amuse you. I love the voice cast. The voice cast did very well. It's something that they were wholeheartedly into, especially Channing Tatum as George Washington,
Nice.
Screaming throughout the pick. He screams throughout the movie, and I would imagine as soon as he was finished, he collapsed and almost died because he gave it all. He gave every effort to go ahead and be George Washington, or at least a way over the top, super buff. I've got chainsaws on my hands, George Washington as you could be.
Nice. All right, that sounds like him.
Yes, that sounds It was definitely a very Channing Tatum inspired performance. But yes, it's something that again, if you will go out of your way to see, I think you'll think it's okay. I mean, a lot of it's hit and miss, but it's America the Motion Picture. Hopefully, everybody get a chance to see it, especially patriotic here in America. If you're interested, July 4th, celebrate and watch it. Hopefully you did over the course of the weekend, but we'll see. We'll see who goes. If you have any opinions on it, let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. The Mitchells versus the Machines. If you haven't caught it yet, I think I highly recommend that. Again, producers Lord and Miller, they're out there. Their life beyond Star Wars has been very prolific. Into the Spider-Verse, obviously, that's done a great job for them, and they're going into Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2. So that's going to be something that we'll wait and see as well. So their careers have expanded beyond Star Wars very nicely.
So do you think the backlash with Star Wars was good for them initially?
From what I'm seeing, the backlash was very good for them. I mean, they walked away from something that ultimately, despite Ron Howard trying the best he could, was something, as you know, was a commercial flop for the Star Wars franchise. It's the worst Star Wars movie ever as far as box office numbers are concerned. And even though I think it's an okay movie after the first 10 minutes, again, it's something that's always going to have that stain on the Star Wars universe. And Lord Miller, they were fired from it, and they walked away. They walked away clean. They actually walked away clean to bigger and better things.
Okay, so before we move on here, isn't that kind of funny how, like, anytime Star Wars has director issues, the directors that they have issues with end up having a bigger, I don't know, like their career kind of skyrockets from things like that, right? Like before Colin Trevorrow, right? Like he was going to do episode 8, and then he ends up not doing that because, I'm sure there are political things behind the scenes or whatever, but like, then all of a sudden nobody really knew or cared because he had done a Monster Calls, but then nobody knew or cared about him. But then all of a sudden everybody knew and cared about him because they were talking about him.
Yeah.
Now everyone knows, like, oh yeah, he's the Jurassic Park guy now.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's something where I guess when for the most part Star Wars goes out and tries to get a director, it's usually someone with a very high profile or someone who's very artsy and very out there in regards to the independent scene. So there is a life beyond Star Wars, especially now these days, because Star Wars doesn't have the panache that it once did, even though there are things on the way, like we'll talk about coming up later in the program, which might return some of that panache of the Star Wars universe back to fans. So we'll see what happens there. But again, to me, I think Lord and Miller have moved on very nicely from it. They've done a great job. So I welcome anyone who wants to go ahead and share comments on America the Motion Picture. Again, it's very hit and miss. I could see a lot of people saying, this is not working out for me, but I'm sure I'm going to be hearing it from Marcus on the Friday show as well before we finally put before we finally put America the Motion Picture to rest. So we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts even more on both those movies back to back. But I'm also looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about the Tomorrow War, and we'll talk about that coming up on the show as well. But before we hit the break, my friend, a real quick note, and we will be going to the box office when we get out of the break. But before we hit the break, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and honor Eva Marie Saint, who I know a lot of people don't remember her or out there. She is a legendary actress who's been on scores of movies, but for me, her most thrilling performance is in North by Northwest. And the reason why I bring it up this July 4th weekend is that she recently turned 97 this weekend. Yes, she recently turned 97 this weekend. But I wanted to go ahead and remind everybody in regards to the greatness of North by Northwest, one of my all-time favorite films. And I think the torchbearer and the standard bearer and the movie that I guess it's the template for the modern action thriller. And I think there really hadn't been set up anything in regards to the big budget action thriller. And I've talked about this with you before. I really think it laid the foundation for every big budget action thriller to come after that.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies where you know that there is a cult following for it. Like, it is a movie that stands the test of time because it is constantly being reprinted.
Yeah.
You know,
and I know Psycho and I know Rear Window are his most well thought of films, but that's in the horror genre, and the horror genre is still confined in its limited space. In regards to that, I think when it comes to North by Northwest, to me, could be his most important picture because big budget action thrillers are so much a part of Hollywood. I mean, if you were to ask a Hollywood executive, would they make a $200 horror movie or a $200 action thriller? Guess which one they're making. So to me, I think it's just as important, if not more, than those two classic films, which are great films in its own right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a great film. Hitchcock is I don't know, he's a revolutionary director, despite, what people have said about him in different types of memoirs and things like that. But it's funny you bring up budgetary things. I don't know if you've ever surfed like Amazon Prime, like the bottom of the bucket there, but there's a lot of horror films that look like they were made for probably like $2. It's you don't and that's another thing too. Like, Hitchcock was someone who didn't ever really have a high budget for his films, but he's able to make really great things.
Yes, and if you read the Variety article on celebrating Eva Marie Saint's 97th birthday, and you'll get a little bit more insight into the making, just a little bit of insight in the making of North by Northwest. There's some interesting things about Hitchcock's battles with Mount Rushmore, because there's an iconic scene from Mount Rushmore that takes place in the movie. And the problems that they had to have in regards to him desiring to want to film at Mount Rushmore, a part of that scene. A lot of it was done on the back lots of the actual MGM studio, but in regards to what he was doing, what he wanted to do, he wanted to shoot some exteriors at the actual scene itself. And it's very interesting what the Department of the Interior would allow and not allow in regards to that, and I guess the fallout from that. So yeah, if you get a chance